Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and hanging out with me a little bit today on the video. Guys, today we're going to be talking about what I consider the #1 mistake that bass anglers make in fishing during the month of September. Pretty easy to correct. I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on this, and hopefully it'll help you guys catch some fish in one of the tougher, or probably the toughest fishing month, which is the month of September. Also, guys, before we get started, one bait that does work pretty good for me in September, if you have some clear water in the lake you're fishing. Guys, if you have water visibility over 3 feet, try this 2.4 inch long Megabass dark sleeper. Take this thing, put it on like 6 pound test line, fluorocarbon line on a spinning rod. Throw it out on any main lake or secondary point in about 10 to 20 foot of water, and just sort of snap it off the bottom where it pops up like that and falls back down to the bottom. This dark sleeper's got a keel weight on it, so it sets on the bottom like that, and you don't want to fish it, like a swim bait. Let it go to the bottom and just hop it off the bottom. And man, if you got a lake that's got like clear water, spotted bass, smallmouth, and largemouth, they hammer it. So I'll put this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description, the link to the dark sleeper if you guys want to try one there. A little 2.4 inch model. They make 3 sizes, but this is the small one here. Okay, biggest mistake that anglers make during the month of September. I'm going to get into this, and then I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on some more detail and some more fine points of catching them in September. #1 mistake that people make in September, any guesses out there what you guys think it is? It is you fish baits that are too big. September is the #1 month of the year, guys, where bass prefer smaller lures than any other time of the month. Now, I'm not saying you can't catch them on a bigger bait, like I can catch them in certain conditions on my full-size jig or whopper plopper. But overall, if you look at the statistical, there's no stats on it, but if I look back at my success in the month of September and the success of a lot of people that have been around, that's fished around me, small baits are going to do the best. It doesn't matter if you're fishing deep water, mid-depth water, or shallow water. So I want to talk a little bit about what those baits are and how to take advantage of it. So if you're fishing, let's talk for a little bit about the medium to deep water depth, something like that. One of the best baits to throw in the month of September, if you're fishing, 10 feet or deeper, which I'm going to say mid-depth, 10 foot, down into 15, 20, 30 foot of water if you got cleaner water. Probably one of the best baits to fish this time of year is like a Ned rig. Put a Ned rig like on a 16th ounce head, 6 pound test line, fan cast it around those ends, those points and sides, fan cast that Ned rig on bluff banks, fan cast it on, chunk rock channel banks, just keying in on that 10 to 20 foot of water. That little Ned rig will definitely catch a lot of bass. Same with the dark sleeper that I talked about too. The dark sleeper is about the same size as the Ned rig. That's going to work really, really good. Another bait that works good in September is a downsized little football head jig. So most people throw a football head jig like a 3/4 ounce, fairly large one. Try a little 1/2 ounce model and cut the skirt back real short. And then like on your trailer, like say for example, if you're using some type of a curly tail trailer, cut the trailer in half. So make your little swim jig where it's about 2.5 inches long, or excuse me, the football head jig, the football head jig, make it about 2.5 inches long, and just drag it along the bottom in those same type of points there. I think I said, swim jig, football head jig. Got so many baits here, it's easy to get confused. That's gonna work really good. And then another thing that works really good is if you've got some clear water and you've got some calm conditions, a small walking topwater, like that Megabass Giant Dog X or the Megabass Dog X, or like a Zara Puppy, like the baby Zara Spook, some type of little small walking topwater can be really, really good fishing on the top or on those same type of points. Points are great places to fish in the fall time of the year, like in September. Bass use them in a bunch of different depths. In the month of September, you can catch bass on points in 2 foot of water or down into 20 or 30 or 40 foot of water, especially if there's no thermocline present. So downsize, and even in that deeper water. Another thing that will catch you some fish there, guys, if you have real clear water and you've got a lake that's got a decent spotted bass population, is a little small swim bait, like a 2.4 inch Kitech or that little Megabass 3-inch spark shad. Put it on an 1/8 ounce head or the core tackle hover head, one of the two. 6-pound test line, and just fan cast it around those points and swim it about midway through the water column. Okay, but my favorite way to catch them in September, which again is the toughest month of the year, guys. We've talked about this in some of my videos here recently. September is the hardest month of the year to catch them in. The way that I like to fish in September is I go shallow and I go the dirty water. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the dirtiest water in the lake that I can find. All relative to the lake you're finding. For some people, you may have 6 inches of visibility being dirty. Other lakes may have 2 foot is the dirtiest water you have. Regardless, if you have a lake that has 2 foot of visibility or less, what I'm getting ready to talk to you is going to work pretty good in it. And it's the same thing. It's downsizing in that dirty, shallow water. Now, a lot of people, they don't think that you can catch as many fish or as quality fish downsizing in dirty water as you can in cleaner water. They relate small baits to clear water environments, and they think about baits like big square-bill crankbaits, big spinner baits, chatter baits as displacing water for shallow, dirty water. That is true in other months of the year, but in the month of September, it's not true. Go small in that shallow, dirty water. Your little tiny crankbaits, like that Megabass Super Z1, little inch and a quarter long crankbaits, deadly. Probably the #1 bait you can throw in September in shallow water. If I'm flipping and pitching, a lot of times they will hit a big jig occasionally, don't get me wrong, but my favorite flipping and pitching bait is a 4-inch worm, like a ringworm or that Zoom finesse worm or Magnum finesse worm. A 4-inch worm flipped and pitched like on a 3/16 ounce sinker. Great way to catch them in that dirty water up there. Another bait that works really good in those situations is a small profile spinner bait, like a 3/8 ounce spinner bait that's got a short arm on it, and like a small willow leaf blade or some type of a small Colorado can be really good. And I'll tell you how effective this is, guys. Back when I was a kid, not a kid actually, I was in high school, some of the best fishing I ever had during the month of September is me and a couple buddies of mine that I went to high school with. They had a cabin down there at Grand Lake. In September at Grand Lake, the water's usually low, and we would get out there and we'd walk along those muddy, gravelly banks where the water was low. Water was dirty and low. This particular place that they had their cabin in was in the back part of a major creek arm, so that had some off-colored water. And we'd get back there and we'd wade those banks and we'd throw a little beetle spin, like a small beetle spin. Or back then they had a thing called a vibratel minnow, which was just like a beetle spin. Guys, we caught a bunch of 3 and 4 pound bass on those little white beetle spins in the month of September. So a little small downsized spinnerbait can work really good. But that is the main thing, guys. If you're talking about the #1 tip, the #1 piece of advice I can give you for fishing in September is go small on everything. And like I said, don't get completely caught on that, because you can catch them on some other stuff. But by and large, if you just try the baits that I talked about in those waters, and you're going to catch more fish and you're going to catch some quality fish. Big ones will bite small baits loose. Another bait I forgot to mention, guys, that works good in September is a little 1/4 ounce rattle trap, little small rattle trap. Fish it on windy points, windy rocky banks, around boat docks. They love that little, just the old school chrome and blue 1/4 ounce rattle trap works really good with that. So anyway, guys, I'll have my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. If you guys would like to get some of those baits I recommended through that link, it's a good way to help the channel out. Much appreciated, and we'll talk to you guys later.